Thanks for visiting the JConcepts garage. I'm Jason Ruona. I'm here with JConcepts to talk about one of the more popular vehicles right now on the market. That's the Team Associated B5M. Now, they sell two different versions. They have the rear motor version, which is the RC10 B5, the RC10 B5M. Most recently, I raced the RC10 B5M here at the Roar Nationals in Cocoa, Florida. And we wanted to go over a little bit for everybody, sort of what's available from JConcepts for the B5M. We have quite a few performance items, quite a few items that just, enhance the looks of the car and enhance the performance. So we want to kind of go over everything a little bit. Obviously, tire choice is a big factor in 10-scale buggy racing. We'll go over that as well. Body options. We have two different body options, so we'll go over that as well. So thanks for joining us here, and we'll go through each aspect of the JConcepts items that are available for this car. One of the first things that everybody likes to upgrade or change on a new vehicle is the body. Here with JConcepts, we have two different bodies available for the RC10 B5M. The first body that we released, the silencer mid-motor body, had a lot of popularity thus far. It's extremely nice working body on the track. The one thing that we recognize when we drive this body is it has a very free feeling on the track, which to me means it's a very smooth body to drive. It's not super aggressive, it's very neutral, and it's very popular in the stock class. I know there's a lot of guys that were testing before the Nationals. They really liked the performance of the silencer. They felt that it was the most neutral handling. It made them feel very at ease when they were at speed in the stock classes, and the silencer body was really doing that for them. So that was a nice aspect to this body, is the way it gives the car handling feel that feels very easy to drive, and also looks good on the track. So that's a big factor. So this is my personal silencer I've had since the car came out. So from there, we've got a lot of requests for the finisher body style, which of course we introduced this back in 2011 for the B4, and we took it along the different generations of Associated cars. We got into the C4 car. We made one for that, and now popular demand has us making one for the B5M. So what this body does, what we found is it has a much more aggressive feel on the track. It seems to track really straight. It's very good at high speeds, which is great for modified racing, and guys really have preferred this for the modified class. The car has a little different stance when you're driving. It's very stable at the high speed sections, and that's what people really like about this. The taller side pods, the cab placement, and then the all one piece center section, which the silencer has sort of two steps on the sides, where this is all one piece, and then the sides of course are a little bit taller. And people really think that this body has a advantage at the higher speeds, especially into straightaways, long sweeping turns. That's where you really feel the difference here with the finisher body. And it's definitely recommended for the modified class, and of course for the stock. You can choose what you think fits best for you, but like I said earlier, the silencer's got some great reviews in stock, but the finisher's been great in modified, so it's kind of up to the customer as what they need. You can see here my Roar number from the National, so this is straight off the track. But those are the two body styles available here from JConcepts for the B5M. Probably the second most popular item to upgrade on the B5M is the rear wing. This is something that over the years we've transitioned from 6-inch, 6.5-inch, 7-inch. We have different widths of the rear wing. The 6.5-inch seems to really be sticking in our 10-scale buggy racing as sort of the happy point for all surfaces. The unique thing about our wing has always been the step here in the side dam, which provides some clearance for the tires, which you don't see as much on a mid-motor car because of the placement of the wing, but on a rear motor car is much more important. But you know, what's nice about this wing is we have available different gurney height options that the customer can trim to. And what this does is this provides some high speed stability. So when you're driving at high speed, you have the ability to change the height where this is cut. So obviously the higher you go, the more drag you get in the rear, and it makes the car feel like it has a little more traction. The lower you go, probably the better the car's going to jump, but the least amount of drag you're going to have going forward, and that's a concern. You know, seems to be the most popular seems to be one line up or right in the middle. Guys like Ryan Mayfield like to run that thing all the way down because they are willing to sacrifice a little bit of traction for a little bit of friendliness on the jumps. So they're looking for, on these tracks they're racing on, they have big air jumps. They like to whip the car in the air. They like the wing to have not as much of a, you know, factor in the air, and so they prefer a cut line much lower. So cutting out your wing and trimming it and mounting it is probably the biggest thing in terms of having the right look on the track. And you know, when you buy one and it's not cut out already, you know, it's kind of a big project if you're not you know, haven't been in the hobby a long time. We prefer to use some curved scissors, and we use a Dremel to sort of sand in the tight radiuses. But you know, we'll show you here how we cut out a wing and mount it straight on the B5M. So we take our JConcepts wing set, cut it in half, and we'll show you exactly how to mount that up. Going into the next generation here, we've gotten a lot of requests for a pre-cut wing. So what we have here is the JConcepts high clearance wing, meant to fit on the Team Associated B5M. It's pre-cut to fit right on the car. So this is kind of a dream for a lot of us out there that have mounted a lot of wings over the years, but now you can get your favorite JConcepts wing pre-trimmed to fit right on the car. So a little extra cost is involved, obviously. We have a really intense CNC process here to bring this pre-trimmed wing, but I think it's worth it in the end to have a perfectly cut out wing. So whether you're a hobbyist who likes to cut everything out yourself and get that fit just right, or you're the guy that wants to just slam it on and ready to go, we kind of have you set here with JConcepts. So we got the wing sets for the B5 rear motor car, the wing sets for the mid motor car, and then we're going to have the pre-trimmed wing as well for both vehicles. So we got the very popular B5 vehicle kind of covered. You can see here it looks a little ragged here because of the protective film on the outside. The cutting process leaves a little jaggedness to the film, but you can see here, if I'm going to peel the film off, how nice this thing really looks when you peel the film off. So there's your wing. Get the film off of there, and that's going to drop right on the car. You know, typically what we do is we'll take and scuff the wing a little bit so that it already looks like it's been crashed a few times. Sort of gives it that that effect on the track, like you can actually see that it has a wing. A lot of people ask us all the time, why do you scuff the wing? Why does it have that color or that cloudiness? Well, we do that because from the old days of racing, when we have a painted wing makes the car where you can see the wing, but it also makes the car look high. You have a painted portion of the car this high, always makes the ride height look high, makes your car look high in the air. What a lot of guys figured out, Brian Kinwald especially in the 90s figured out that, hey, I want to see my wing, but I don't want it to be painted. So they decided to start sanding and scuffing the wings so you can actually see it while you're driving, but it has still that translucent effect so that the car looks low, agile, and everything. So, you know, here we got pre-trimmed wing. We have the one here on the car, and just a couple items available from JConcepts. We're going to talk a little bit about the accessories available now for the B5M here. One of the first things that I wanted to upgrade on the car was I wanted a lighter weight front axle for the vehicle. Initially, you know, the car comes with a steel one-piece front axle. Screw comes in from the inside, secures the assembly. What we wanted to go with was a titanium front axle, and one of the things that we were looking at here is when the latest cars have the bearings in the steering block, and that's really kind of a nice feature, but what happens is when you go to put your tires on and off, sometimes it's hard to align the wheel hex with the hex on the car. Sometimes there's an alignment, this isn't a big concern, but a small concern that when you're trying to change tires quickly and things. So what we've done is we've actually set up the inside of this titanium front axle so it has a knurled tip, which doesn't seem like a big deal until you kind of use something like that, where what it allows you to do is it allows you to put your finger on the inside of the axle and you have full control over the front assembly here. What that does is it allows you to hold the front axle while you install your front wheel and tire. So you have great control over the whole assembly, and then you secure everything down with the nut. The other item we wanted to concentrate on was a aluminum front wheel hex. We call these our ultra wheel hexes because we've reduced some weight here compared to our versions for the B4, and they're available in blue and black. I've chose to use the blue ones here, and you cinch them down. It's a clamping hex and have a little bit of play, which is kind of standard, and a nice free spinning front axle. So you got the titanium axle, the ultra front wheel hex, and we also have the ultra wheel hex available for the rear as well. So that's to match the offset of the kit. No difference in geometry or changes to the car. It's just a weight factor, something that we wanted to add. A couple different colors of anodizing. So we'll go ahead and hold the knurled tip axle, put on our front wheel tire, put on the very important JConcepts locking front wheel nut, and secure the whole assembly. And you can see here that this is our large flange locking wheel nut. What that does is initially we had a locking wheel nut that fit the 4mm axles. What we felt when this car came out, that we were used to such a large wheel nut, and it had a very big footprint against the wheel. And what we wanted to do is go back so the flange of this wheel nut was the same as our old 832 style. So it had a lot of surface area. So when you're under hard cornering, hard landing, you get a nice surface area that's against the plastic wheel, as opposed to a small surface area, which we were trying to avoid. So locking wheel nuts, front and rear on my B5M, again, available in blue and black colors. It might not seem like a big thing, but the kits usually come standard with a nylon locking wheel nut. There's a little piece of nylon in there that threads in, and then it gets tighter at the end, kind of helps it stay on. But these are knurled on the inside. It's a 100% machined wheel nut. It's knurled on the face so that when you touch off against the wheel and the wheel's plastic, you get a definite grabbing effect. You can see here, well, I barely tighten it down and it already starts grabbing the wheel. So normally you're in good shape here when you see a little bit of plastic built up on the serrated portion, and you can kind of feel it click, and that's when you know you have a pretty good secure locked tire on the car. So just a small thing here in the front end, but 3 items. We got the titanium front axle, we got the ultra wheel hex, and then out to the large flange wheel nut. And that's just some accessories here for the B5 that we found that work extremely well, and I like on my personal race car. Also, one of the most popular aftermarket accessory items for the B5 vehicles are titanium turnbuckles. Now, the car itself doesn't come with titanium turnbuckles, it comes with a steel turnbuckle, but there are a couple options available out there. One of them is our JConcepts Fin titanium turnbuckles. Now these we've had through the generation of the B4 car, now into the B5. Actually, the same length turnbuckle works on the B4 and the B5, so which is kind of a nice aspect. So one of the things you'll notice here is on my personal B5 is These come in a titanium polished finish, and mine are custom anodized by Brian Kinwald. He wanted to provide a little gift to me for the Roar Nationals. He did these custom with a little gray and blue anodizing here, but a fun looking accessory for the guys in the pits. But anyway, titanium fin turnbuckles, 3mm thread base, threads right onto the Associated B5 ball cups. We always use a little bit of grease. You can either use the Stealth Lube or the black grease. I think the black grease is probably the most popular. That helps the threads kind of thread themselves or make themselves inside the plastic. And what you'll find with these is they're such a hard material that sometimes they're a little hard to adjust. So what we do is we actually try to put a little grease on the threads, run the ball cup in and out a couple times, so that when you are adjusting it on the car, that you have a little better control. The thing doesn't want to pop off while you're adjusting it. That's sometimes kind of a nuisance to the drivers and the racers. So just remember that when you're building it, a little more time that you take, putting them together makes it a little easier down the road when you're working on the car in the pits. And you know, titanium turnbuckle from JConcepts really does that. A couple of underrated items that we've been working on here is the front suspension brace for the B5M. Now the kit itself comes with a plastic front suspension brace, and I'll point it out here. So the front brace, kind of its job here is the front arm's attached to the front bulkhead with the hinge pins. The hinge pins extend a little further out the front of the arm, and what these guys have done, and a lot of the other manufacturers, is they always secure the front end with another brace across the front end, which really kind of holds when you're hitting something this way or you're hitting something the opposite way. It really keeps those hinge pins parallel to the center line of the car. So that's what the hinge pins brace's job really is to maintain that alignment in the front end. So what ends up happening is when you're using these braces is you'll normally never really damage an aluminum front brace. What'll happen is all the damage will happen towards the back. But what's kind of nice about that is, you know, your alignment in your front end is always going to be, your hinge pins are always going to be parallel to the chassis center line. So that's kind of the hinge pin brace's job. So what we've done here is we've designed our own aluminum version, and you know, bolts right up with the stock hardware. But we've added a lot of lightweight options here in the piece. We've recessed the front end, sitting behind the front bumper. So what's kind of nice about that is when you're digging into the dirt, you're coming off the face of the jumps, you're not piling that dirt into the the extruded cuts on the brace itself, but they're just sort of glancing off the bumper. But if you take the bumper off, you'll see here that it's nice and shiny, chamfered along the edges. We have a large chamfer around the perimeter, which kind of gives us a little more front clearance when you're landing off of the jumps. You're still going to get small scratches here on the bottom because that's exposed right to the jump faces, but we've added that angle, so you should have a nice transition all the way around jump to landing and cornering. So front suspension brace, really important item, and we've kind of glammed it up here, given that shiny chamfered look. It's also available, of course, in the blue and the black colors, so depending on which scheme you're going with, you can get matched. Moving on to the rear, something that we had for the B4 line of vehicles is we had the motor plate here. What we've done is the B5 car has a completely different transmission configuration. They actually attach the motor plate from the motor plate side now, as opposed to through screws they used to have on the B4. So what we've done is we've taken our honeycomb design, we've transferred it to the B5 geometry of the motor plate. We've added our honeycomb design here, which gives us a lot of lightweight component, but it also provides a lot of rigidity. What you used to see with these cars, especially in rear motor, is when you're landing back here where the motor was all the time, is we'd see a lot of bent motor plates. And we wanted to really attack that with a different design provide a pretty quality piece that resisted some of the bending. Of course, you go to the mid motor here, it's a little more protected, but now with the honeycomb design, you're kind of looking a little better. We have the inside is already countersunk, so you put the countersink screws in there that come with the kit, attaches down, of course put your slipper assembly, motor, mount, everything back on, and you're good to go with the honeycomb motor plate. One of the important factors of driving the B5M is having a very rigid and a precise steering response. One of our more popular upgrades we did on the B4 was an aluminum steering bell crank assembly. They've done it a little differently here on the B5 as opposed to the B4 setup, but what we've done is we've built an all aluminum bell crank. We have the driving side, the idler side, and they're arranged in such a way that you have a lot better steering response in the car. With the plastic units, they've done a great job of beefing them up. They're a nice piece right out of the kit, but we've always found that the aluminum really provides that positive reaction that you're kind of looking for when you're driving the car. So, and one of the other things we noticed as we moved along here throughout time is people like putting their transponder right in front of the servo, which sits right underneath the driving steering bell crank. So what we've done is we've added a lot of clearance down there, right underneath with you know, the angle of the bell crank, so that you can really get in there and you don't have to fear that you're going to rub against your transponder. You got plenty of clearance down there, and we finished off the steering bell cranks themselves. Of course, they're available in the blue and the black colors, and then we've chamfered some of the perimeter edges here, so you kind of have that high glamour look, but this is a serious performance part. So if you're looking to get a little more direct feel and you know, a little positive steering response, definitely go to the aluminum steering bell cranks, and that should clear things up for you. Battery security on the B5 is pretty critical. There's kind of two popular different combinations for batteries in this car. The rear motor car, we started off using the brick pack, we'll call it, the square battery by Reedy. They were the first ones to come out with that style battery, which is essentially a one-piece saddle pack. What we've done is we've created a new battery brace. We call this the Foxy battery brace. Somebody brought to our attention that it looked a little bit like a fox, so that's kind of where the name comes from. But you know, this is a 2.5 millimeter genuine carbon fiber. We have this, we have the treatment done to this that has the ribs in the sort of the appropriate places that provide some strength for us, but it's a lightweight piece, and it's something that you can use with the brick pack, or now a lot of people are using the shorty pack in the mid-motor car, which is how my car is configured. I was using the shorty pack, and just kind of is a really nice addition. One thing that we've done is we've milled the back side of it slightly, so that we noticed that with some of the other parts there was a little bit of bindage when you put the brace in the car. Sometimes it didn't fit exactly right, so it was putting a lot of force on the rear motor transmission mount here, the waterfall, if you will. But what we've done is we've milled that area so it has plenty of clearance. So when you drop this in now, it has a nice free feeling, and you tighten down your screws here or your thumb nuts. In my case here, what we've done is we've actually taken our thumb nut that we make for the B4 line of vehicles, and we've installed the 440 set screw in the boss of the chassis, and we're just going to use the 440 thumb nuts that we already have fit the car perfectly. So the car actually comes with a little larger thumb nut with an O-ring on it, but what we did is we just put our 440 set screw instead of the 3 millimeter into the chassis boss, and we thread on our thumb nut, and we have a great attachment, nice little feel. Of course, the nut itself here was the same as the 832s, so if you need you know, some precise adjustment, you can use the wrench. I prefer just using my hands. getting it nice and tight. When I put my battery in here, I like to make sure that I'm not over tightening those front two thumb nuts, because sometimes you can start bowing the battery brace over the top of the battery. So you don't really want that. You want to adjust those set screws so that when you're tightening these thumb nuts, that it comes down and the battery brace is still sitting parallel to the chassis. So a couple little things, carbon fiber battery brace, aluminum thumb nuts, just another way to hold down and attach the battery here. An option here that a lot of the drivers like to use indoors is a chassis tape on the bottom of the chassis of the mid motor or the rear motor. Something released some time ago for some of the other Associated TLR. Every other car out there, we've had probably a chassis film for it, but now we also have one for the B5M and the B5. What this does is this is a newly designed different material than we were using at first. It's a little more durable, a little thicker, and has really crystal clear looking printing and nice vibrant colors. You know, obviously we got our JConcepts.net print on here. It's something that is already pre-cut. You peel it off the sheet, you'll line it with the chassis, and you smooth it out and lay it down. One thing you'll notice about this film that we use is it doesn't have a tendency to bubble up when you're laying it against the chassis. It really lays nice and smooth, and it being a little thicker to begin with really gives you that extra durability and wear that that you really need indoors. Of course, if you're running outdoors, the track's very abrasive, you're going to go through chassis tape, or you're going to go through your chassis or your aluminum chassis. So keep in mind that this stuff does wear. That's why it's more popular indoors. Tracks are usually a little wetter, a little gummier, gives you a nice slick surface to bottom out against, and kind of reduces the friction between the chassis and the dirt. Outdoors, usually the tracks are more abrasive or higher speed, and it does the same things, but obviously at that rate you're going to wear a little quicker. So keep that in mind. Also, the rear of the B5M doesn't have a kick up here in the back. The old B4 and the B5 rear motor has a little kick up between the chassis here and then underneath the transmission. So the 5M actually is a completely straight chassis here on the bottom, which means you're going to have a little more wear in the rear. The rear end of the car here is going to wear a little more, but the way this car works, I think it's definitely worth the sacrifice. This car has been great on the track, and now with the JConcepts accessories, it looks even better, and even a better performance vehicle than it has been. Probably the most important aspect to racing are the tires. We're kind of known here at JConcepts for performance 10 scale tires, and I want to talk a little bit about tires. And obviously this is a subject you could go on forever to talk about, but something quite simple here is I have my car outfitted with the dirt webs front and rear. A lot of people have been asking, are we going to release a larger diameter wheel for 10 scale off-road? And yes, we are. These are our 60 millimeter wheels here. These are the larger style bead. Sometimes they're called Evo, VTR, 2.4 inch wheels. They have many names. We've chose the 60 millimeter, relative to dimension. We called the 8 scale wheels 83 millimeter, so we might as well call the 10 scale buggy ones 60 millimeter. So this is our tall style wheel. This is our new tire that fits the large wheel directly. So it's our popular dirt web tire, which has been probably the #1 tire so far this year. Between indoor and outdoor racing, it's hard to beat the dirt webs. Between gold indoor compound, blue and green outdoors, been running some red occasionally at the hotter events, and the dirt webs have been a really, really great tire. What you're going to see different here, what's going to come included with the dirt webs is actually the Dirt Tech inserts, which is the gray new insert that we've been utilizing in a lot of the large events this year. It's an insert that we sell separately right now for our 2.2 style tires. We started off using them at our spring indoor nationals earlier in the year. Michael Shetler, then we went Stephen Hartson, Ryan Mayfield, Spencer Rivkin, Tanner Denny, Dustin Evans, all these guys running the Dirt Tech inserts, gray in color, they're easy to identify, and we've been using those in the 2.2 style tires all year. We're going to the 60 millimeter style bead mounting type now, and we're going to have an insert that matches that. So look for that, the Dirt Webs tire with the Dirt Tech insert mounted for the big wheel. A couple of people have asked me, you know, hey, what's the difference between 2.2 style wheels and tires versus the 60 millimeter? We only have, you know, a little under a year worth of comparison here, but so far what we're finding is that there is a difference. However, it might not be as large as you initially thought. We're getting a lot of good success still with the 2.2 size, probably due to the way that the wheel's constructed, that it allows less movement with the insert inside. There's a little, probably a little bit more of a side balance with the 2.2 style configuration. However, the larger wheel, it is much simpler, it is lighter weight, and that's all good things for racing. So we've had a lot of input from our stock racers, guys that like stock racing. They want the lightest weight combination possible. So you know, you take that bead off the older style tire, you decrease the material in the insert itself, and the wheel is made up lightweight but still a little bit bigger, and all that factor comes together with a little lighter weight combination, which is, you know, a huge difference being rotating weight. So those are probably the main differences. Don't rule out either one of them as a top combination. Again, the style that you choose, the compound that you choose is still probably the #1 factor, but don't disregard, you know, wheel size and insert weight. I think that's very important, and probably be more important as the future goes along. So another item here, we've had a lot of feedback, I guess, that we've been running a lot of indoor events where drivers are using slick tires. Typically what we've done in the past is we've sanded, taken a barcode or a Dirt Web tire, and we sand all the tread off of them until we have a slick tire. Now it might seem a little crazy if you're not a high performance racer, but in the racing scene there are several indoor tracks and configurations that are so high grip that slick tires are actually the most amount of traction and the quickest around the track. So what we've done is, since the 60 millimeter options are coming, we went ahead and made a 60 millimeter size slick tire, front and rear, for two-wheel drive buggy racing. So what this does is it really eliminates the driver from having to sand down their popular race tire, their popular treaded tire. They can now pick up a all slick, and what you do with these, what we've done is we've just sanded them very lightly. You want to get a little bit of scuff all the way around, sort of bring that shine off and get them scuffed up, and then you're ready to hit the track. So, you know, before it probably took several hours to build a set of tires, now it might take, you know, 5 minutes. So you mount them up, you scuff them a little, you put them on the car, and you're ready to rock with slicks. So that's something that we've gotten requests for this year. Again, these are meant to fit the larger style wheel, the 60 millimeter, and that's just something that we've been testing now. It's been making a big appearance at the new SRS track in Arizona. Spencer Rivkin, Tommy Hines, Brian Kinwald, a lot of our local drivers have been testing this slick tire, and since that track is using slicks at the moment, it's been working extremely well. So people are very eager to get their hands on the slicks, take some work out of it, and hit the easy button, and we're hoping to get those out really soon. Another set of tires here, it's all about the tires, is two new tires. What we have here is, we're calling these the Whippets. This is a tread pattern constructed for the 60 millimeter wheel, but what we've designed here is we have a line in our 2.2 tires called the Barcode version 1, Barcode version 2. They're a little larger tread than the Dirt Webs. They're a little more aggressive, and they're meant for tracks that aren't quite they have a lot of dust on them, a little bit of marbles. So what we've done here is we've kind of gone to the drawing board. We've made something that has a tread height and tread construction that's similar to our V2 barcodes. And this is something that I feel that we're going to run outdoors, maybe in a sugared track situation, or in a situation where we need a lot of tire rubber and thickness to the tread, something that doesn't wander, but it offers us good tread life. I think that's where the Whippets is really going to be a great tire for us. Again, we'll have them available in all of our compounds. And just one more item to look forward to from us. Going back to the front tires, this is a new tire. We're kind of, it has very similar tread pattern to the rear that we were just describing, but they're turned in a different direction. This being a two-wheel buggy, we've turned them, we'll say here in the vertical configuration. The rear is more of a horizontal for traction. This will be more for steering. We wanted as sort of a half tread, half on-road style tire, we'll call it. This is getting it to be in the lines of something that provides a lot of surface area. Of course, it'll be available in all the different compounds. This is meant to fit the 60mm wheel. And what you'll notice about this tire is the tightly spaced tread. We want to get that tread very close together because that's what provides a smooth steering response. We've worked on the sidewall, the transition to the tread, and this is something that we feel is going to be sort of in the next generation of off-road racing tires, something that we're going to run on a sugared track or something very high grip. Doesn't have to be sugar, just has to be high grip. We'll be using these in Florida. I know we have several tracks, including the track we just raced the Roar Nationals at, that this front tire would work extremely well. So that's two new tires for treads from JConcepts for the 60mm wheels. And of course we talked about the slicks and the popular dirt webs and the Dirt Tech inserts. So when you got your B5M, remember the accessories, the body, the wing. Then you come down to the nuts and bolts of the thing with the wheels and tires. I mean, absolutely everything on the track. And so make sure you have your wheels, your tires, and your inserts correct. And good luck racing, and thanks for watching here in the JConcepts garage.